In today's show, I'll be sharing why you must speak, brand, and lead to create trust and credibility in your business. That's coming up next on Speak on Stage, and this is that show. Welcome back. My name's Dave Crane. Nice to see you. I say I can see you. I can't see anything. I just see my studio and the cameras and lights and action. No action. I don't know what that means. But anyway, welcome to the show. I want to share with you a lot of stuff today because I've been writing books, writing one book in particular, which is going to be coming out in the coming months. I did promise to have 3 books sorted out by the end of the year. I'm about 90% through the second book, and I'll let you know more about that when it is ready to launch. But I will tease you, and today's show is inspired by the stuff I've been working on. If you're wondering what that is, well, this is it. You need to speak, brand, and lead. Once you do that and you get it right, you also get some free marketing, you get credibility, and you get the fact that people go, you know what? That person knows what they're talking about, generating trust and making them want to work with you on your business. Are you with me so far? Good. Because the most important thing right now is positioning yourself as a rock star in your business. And the way to do that is to be a subject matter expert or a high achiever or thought leader. So when people are thinking about, who can we get in to do this and fix it all? Then they say, Dave Crane, it's all about speaking or branding. Or they say, blah, blah, blah. Not that your name is blah, blah, blah. But if it did come up with that and you were an expert on bing, 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 then you'd probably be employed for quite some time and you're desperate to change your career. In which case, if you're on LinkedIn, you're in the right place. Going back and forgetting I just said all that, let's just look at where we're talking about. So speaking, branding, and leading all fits in perfectly well together. When you're able to turn around and say, you know what, I know what I'm doing, and they can see you know what you're doing, and then they see you as a leader in the industry, that's what inspires people to say, I'm investing money in that person. You generate certainty and the belief that you are the one who can get them to the next level in what it is that you do. So let's look at that. You want to speak on stage, and you caught me just sort of like, go itchy nose, itchy nose, itchy nose. Stop now. And Speak on Stage is our podcast. You can catch us in all the best podcast places, which is usually Spotify, iTunes, still do iTunes, well, on there, Apple, and various other places. Wherever you're catching this, on LinkedIn, of course, we're going live now, and you can catch us on Facebook and YouTube, if you look out especially for Dave Crane Dubai, and that is me. So with that, as usual, if you fancy joining our group and becoming a proper keynote speaker, we're going to be doing a special event online and in person. If you really want to be that person, then make sure you get the QR code. You get your phone, wherever it is. This is my iPhone, hey, and you hold it up and you get the QR code and you press the button because it moves around. It's like what's it called? With the moles. You got to bash the moles when you go to a fairground ride. What's it called? Whack-a-mole. It's like whack-a-mole. You got to find the. It's gone now. You got to find the yellow button when you go onto your phone and you get the QR code. And I'll make it slightly bigger and me slightly smaller. Oh no, I've ruined it. And then I've gone completely. And get it now. And if you haven't got it, then back again. And there's a special free gift for you. If you want to become a keynote speaker, there's a PDF you can download. Just register and then you can use it straight away and start planning your future. To get you on the way. And also when you register, then you'll find out about the online and the in-person stuff if you're based in the UAE. Also, our next course starts in the next couple of days, shortly, and that's on our Turbocharge Your Career group on WhatsApp. It's absolutely free to join us, and we're going to be looking at LinkedIn. So if you're a big fan of LinkedIn, if you're using LinkedIn, which is where you're probably watching us right now, and you're thinking, well, I'm doing all right, but I've only got a couple of thousand connections. I wish I had more. How many have you got, Dave? You've got loads. Can I have some of yours? Yes, but it doesn't work like that. There's a way of doing it, and I will be sharing that within our group. So if you want to know what all that is, 5 days of challenges. We've done a number of things. If you haven't joined the WhatsApp group, by the way, it's called Turbocharge Your Career, the 5-day challenge. And we've gone through business storytelling. We've gone through branding and speaking. We've gone through how to become a game changer. But this one's going to be rather interesting because I think that it's going to involve at the beginning a little bit of imposter syndrome because many people don't want to go out there and show who they are in case people start knocking back. But also they're worried about if you're doing it on LinkedIn, it's only good for getting a job. It's only good for CVs. That's all you should post. In fact, your profile should be your CV Wrong. It shouldn't be. It should be what you do that other people will be interested in, and that's what you post about. I'll be talking more about it when you join the group. Here's the QR code again. It's going in 5 seconds. Five, five, four, three, two, one. It's really hard to do when you're looking at a reflection of yourself, and you're doing it. And yes, my life is a reflection of myself. All right, so welcome to the show. It took a long time to get there because I've got lots to get through. And it's really about getting your head around the concept that when you can speak and you can create a brand about it, then you can also lead people. They will work with you. And as always, talk to me. Go to me directly through the DMs. Talk to me on the show. If you've got a question and you catch me live, I will answer it straight away. If not, I'll answer it in a replay and it will go bing into your inbox or your notifications and say, Dave Crane answered your question. And so if you ask a question, Dave, why does your hair look like that? The answer is, okay, I'm not going to answer that question, was my answer. But you can talk to me. Tell me whereabouts in the world you are. Ask me any questions about the stuff I'm doing. And also, you can register. I should have a QR code. I should have sorted this out before I started today's show. We do two things. Right. So on a Tuesday, at this time, we broadcast the visual show, which is where you get to see my lovely face. And you get to hear all the things I'm talking about and get to see videos and stuff like that. But if you can't get enough of that, on a Friday, same time, what we do is we do a LinkedIn live audio, which gives you a chance to ask me questions, and I spend a lot of time answering those questions to get you across any problem that you got involving public speaking or involving branding or change of career or positioning yourself or income streams or what to do now. You've got to reinvent yourself, but you don't know where to start. Those are the kind of things that we do, and it's absolutely free. And with that, you get a chance to join us with the Game Changers, which is our global community that is growing all the time. I'd love to have you as part of that. So make sure that you check in the details. I'll probably pop it into the comment section here so you can register and you won't miss a thing because LinkedIn will tell you, come and join Dave, he's live now. And you can go, hello. And it's LinkedIn live audio. If you've never come across that, think of Clubhouse. Think of what it looked like when I used to use it before it got a bit weird. And that's what we've got here. Shouldn't say that too loud. LinkedIn might be listening and they get offended and I'll be banned. But clearly not yet. Fantastic. Okay, so talk to me. Let me know where you are and what you're up to. The most important thing before you go into business, or as soon as you go into business, is your ability to prove and that you can be trusted and you've got credibility about everything that you talk about. Why is that important? Because if you can't prove that you have trust and credibility, nobody wants to work with you. People pay for certainty. They look around at lots of other people. I've talked to this before. He said, chewing over his own words. What people pay for is this. A simple formula for being paid is the effect of a job you do and how cheaply you can be replaced by somebody else. Does that make sense? Good, because that means that this is your way. It's your Harry Potter secret sauce. Not that Harry made secret sauce, or in fact, it'd be really good if he made a new one, brought Daniel Radcliffe back. Harry Potter and the secret sauce. What is it, Harry? It's just gravy. Really? Yeah, put some ketchup in it. Your secret sauce is rubbish, Harry. Yeah, they didn't make a movie because of that. Okay, so I'm not going to get sued by J.K. Rowling yet. But we'll see. So when you look at your trust and credibility, you may have worked in different jobs, you may have had different clients, you may have done lots of different things. This is what you need to see. You need to prove who's invested in you over the years. You will recognize some of these brands. Some of them are media, some of them are big corporates, some of them are more local brands for being based in the UAE or in the Middle East, where I've spent about 30 years doing business. But the important thing is people need to know that if they're going to be putting money into your account for you to deliver a service, they need to know that they're not doing it alone. And there's a track record of really wonderful people who they know and they respect, who've already invested in you. And if you can get them that with some credibility and some, what do you call them, testimonials, then that works very well as well. Here's a testimonial that proves who I am and what I do. So if I go like that and I suddenly disappear over the date, is that a date? Yes, it is over date. Not to worry. Okay, so that is King Charles. And that was me working at the Prince's Trust 30 years ago. I'm the one with green. I'm the one he's talking to, not the other one who looks about 5. 30 years ago, not 5,000 years ago. And that's me talking to Prince Charles about the importance of the stuff I do. And that's a commendation letter from him. And if you read it up close, it says, Dave is fab, we love him lots. It doesn't say that. It just talks about a project I was working on. And he's saying, Dave, well, how do you get all that stuff? Well, simple, you ask for it. You let people know as you do great stuff, and you collect materials because you never know when you might need to turn around and prove that it's not just all in your head. So there you go. So let's look at some various things like that. I've worked with various people, sometimes working with them directly, sometimes following them, sometimes interviewing them, sometimes being on stage with them. Lots of various people over the years, as you can see there. And many of them you recognize because they're really famous and they're household names if you're in the business. But here's the thing that makes it really more important than anything. When we talk about being in the business, there's so many different industries you could be in. You only need to be connected to the ones that are relevant to your business because people who are interested in hiring your services for the same business will recognize that you're at a really top level. And what they then think is because of the science of association, if you've worked with these people, you must be like them. So that's why whenever you go out and you do stuff and you study courses, get a photo of the person who's got you on the course. Make sure you've got some kind of selfie, some kind of credibility, because if you're absorbing and you're doing self improvement all the time, then you may well be at the same level, if not better, than many of the people that you work with. But if it's your word against everybody else's, nobody's going to believe you. So a lot of it is visual representation. You need to prove that you are doing other stuff with thought leaders and really big hitters as well. And then you can tell business stories all about the stuff you've done, who you've been connected to, and what it is that you have actually achieved. So if I go, for instance, back to this, I could tell you tons and tons of business stories about these people, which would prove credibility and prove I was there and prove the association. I'm not going to because there's too many of them, but it is just there. Can you do the same thing? If you can, then make sure people know about it. If you haven't got people at a really high level, then you don't need to have that. You just need to have people who are decision makers in organizations that you work with. So that means that if you're doing business with the I don't know, the flower shop down the road, the flower shop has got an owner. So the owner, if you know them, may well give you a testimonial that your flowers, when you deliver them to lots of different places, are always top quality, and that's why they've worked with you for 7 years. Or whatever it would be. There is always a value where people turn around and they want to know that they're not the first person doing it. Trust and credibility, that certainty that they want, is available for you for testimonials over time. And LinkedIn gives you an opportunity to get testimonials in there, but don't go to people in your own business, in your own company, because it's like asking members of your own family. It just, nobody believes you. You've got to get people outside of that to give you more credibility, and then people buy in. Does that make sense? Any questions, feel free to ask, and I will, if I don't answer them live, I'll come back and I'll check out the questions later on a replay and still answer anyway. If you don't know how to do business stories, make sure you join our group. And we've gone through that before. We may well go through it again. So when I talk about the ability to speak on stage, I can show a slide like this, and it's got plenty of evidence. Working with big stars like Enrique Iglesias and Mel C from the Spice Girls and Westlife many years ago when they were all younger. They're probably going to get back together. And there's me on stage bringing on Kanye West, and lots of people saying, Dave, we can see your armpits. So I'm saying, yeah, I know you can. I'm going to show you anyway. So trust and credibility is very important. Your visual evidence matters. It proves everything. When I want to tell stories, I can tell stories about this. I can say, look, that picture, well, look, that picture that there, right next to my finger, is me hosting Dubai Rugby Sevens for the 8 billionth year, and me dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow. And you can't see it easily. In fact, I might be able to zoom in a little bit there, just a little bit. Inside that cart is Maya, aged about 4, who led the parade. Yes, it's true. So that's a story to prove that I was there and my family were involved in it, and I get my daughter from a very early age. And that might not be something that she cares about right now, but it might be later on that she goes for auditions if she's in the entertainment business or in sales or something. And they say, what proof have you got that you can go out and wow our customers? And she can show a picture like that and say, I've been wowing customers from the age of 4. Now, okay, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, and you'd laugh at it, but the evidence is still there. So make sure you collect it. And if you're wondering what to do with that, you might want to put it onto your social media. Why? Because it catalogs the year and it catalogs it during the ability to go back and see your pictures. Not easy to do on LinkedIn. It's very difficult to go back over old posts and get access to them, but you can download them generally. But what I do is I put them onto something like Instagram or something onto Facebook, because then you can much more easily, or even not Pictionary. You know what I'm talking about that I never use. Anyway, those ones you get access to. Someone's going to type it in now. Don't bother. Don't worry about it. But those are very good for keeping a catalog of videos and photos and dates and comments that you get from other people. Just on the other side of the picture, you can see me on stage as the Pharaoh, which was singing an Elvis number, Elvis-alike number, in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. At that age, I was about woof. So when I go woof like a dog. At that age, I was a dog. I was a werewolf, but I'm all right now. It's the only werewolf joke I know. But I was probably about 11 years old, which goes to prove how long I've been doing this kind of dressing up, entertaining people thing. So when somebody says, can you teach me to work my audience? Can you teach my sales team to speak in public? I don't need to say much. The evidence is clear. I've been doing it for a very long time. And so that also means that when we're looking at other people, I get this all the time when I host a big event, it's not because they said we want Dave Crane necessarily. They go, I want Dave Crane, after they've looked at who else is available in the market, and they look at the credibility. And they say, can we trust this person to deliver if something goes wrong? And when they look at my profile, my stuff, they go, well, he's been doing it from the age of like a dot. So he's clearly still in business, so it must be good to have covered everything. That's why it's important to be able to establish that trust and credibility, but not the crust and credibility, because I don't know what that is. All right. So next up, let's look at this. This is actually me on stage a short while ago speaking at Cityscape in Saudi. And again, you got to prove direct threat. What's that mean? Oh yeah, with success stories, got to prove directly that you have got success stories about all the stuff that you do. So when it comes down to people choosing you to work with you, you've got the evidence that it's there. I still don't know why I said threat, but maybe it's a typo. Sure, it made sense when I was making the slide about 8 million years ago. And so with this, you need to create videos, evidence, because people like it on WhatsApp when you send it to them to prove that you've been around for a while and you do all the stuff that you say you've been doing. And I have this, which is just made up of photos, all put together, jumping onto Fiverr.com and saying, can you make a slideshow or a video of all this stuff? And that's what people have been doing. It's really effective to get things to come together. So there you go. You can get that done yourself. So if you want to speak on stage and be really effective, this is how you do it. If you're thinking, well, it's probably not that important, it's probably the most important skill that you need to have right now, even more important than your ability to code AI. And it's also the easiest way to market who you are and what you do to the largest amounts of people. Don't believe me? Well, watch this.
This is your time. You worked very hard to get where you are, an inspiration to many, a mentor, a rainmaker, and a successful boss. But the one thing you've never done well is now the one skill you have to learn: public speaking. Great leaders throughout time have always shown their power from the stage. Now is the most essential ability for anybody to be seen as a change maker, industry expert, high achiever, or thought leader. Do you have a fear of public speaking? Are you missing out? Does your tribe need a chief executive officer who can command and motivate from on stage? Is your message getting lost because you need to be able to present from conferences, events, and global forums? My name is Dave Crane. I've worked on stage for over 4 decades. I've done every kind of entertainment, and I train leaders around the world to find their voice, realize their power, and dominate their industry. I've worked alongside some of the smartest names and most respected business coaches in the world. I train world leaders, industry experts, and high achievers to speak. What do you need? Do you need to share an idea, a theory, a formula, or an invention? Do you need to position yourself among the best of your peers as a key voice to lead into the digital age? Do you need to elevate and grow your personal brand? Are you ready to share stages and concepts among the most innovative minds, producing viral videos and great speeches on a global scale? Most leaders who are great communicators fail with a microphone because they don't know stagecraft. They don't know how to engage, entertain, and motivate large crowds. But when you do know how, It's just like breathing. So here's what you do next. Talk to me at speakonstage.com, and I'll help you become one of the very best speakers in the world.
And there you go. That's how you do it. Now, if you're thinking about all that, then you're probably thinking, well, what's it translate to, Dave? What's it mean when you're actually able to work a big crowd? Why does it matter? Well, it matters because depending on your industry. Now, I always show stuff about me speaking because I want to prove to you that not only can I do it, but you can do it, because you can pick up techniques and ideas and tips all the way through. If you're just watching it and you're just eating your popcorn, I don't know what you're eating, or if you're having your coffee, that's drinking coffee, or if you're catching snakes, snake, or whatever it is you're doing while you're watching this, then you may not be paying attention to the stuff that's going on. But I'm sharing stuff with you because it's important to know that in whatever industry you're in, you could be in accounts, you could be in coaching, you could be in construction, you could be in, I don't know, diamond making. Doesn't matter. The evidence is the same for the people that want to see that you're good at doing it. You need to get testimonials. You need to get evidence of the stuff that you've made. You need to get some referrals from people saying, yeah, you worked with me. I'd recommend you to everybody. And these are the people that I would recommend you to. All those things are the same for every business. It translates. Does that make sense? Yes, Dave. Thank you. Why are you talking to yourself? Because I have no friends. Apart from you, obviously. Okay. Wasn't talking to myself then. So when we look at how that works, here's me hosting a big fintech event with about 3,000 people. Now, what I want you to see is how I work the audience. Why? Because I want everyone to feel that they're included. Otherwise, if they don't feel included and part of the conversation, I'll spend the rest of the evening feeling it's me versus them. I don't want it to be that. I want it to be we. That means I've got to get the Wi-Fi code of the audience, and the next 30, 40 seconds, you'll see exactly how I do it.
Okay, I want to check where everybody's from, because we've got 10 different languages being translated to us right now. We've also got the entire world watching us on Facebook Live and many other channels as well. How many people are here from, say, China? Yep. How many people are here from Europe? The USA? How about people coming from maybe Australia? About 3 people over there. Fantastic. Move around all the time and keep cheering. It works that way. How many people are here from India? How many people are here from the Philippines? What about Africa? What about Africa? All right. How many people are here from Dubai? Today, we're one global family.
See what I did there? It was important to get what's called the Wi-Fi code of your audience by bringing them all together and making them feel really inclusive and included. That way you can talk to them as us. And when you do stuff right or you do stuff wrong, it doesn't matter because they're already in with you. Because they're not waiting there as most people do. Most speakers think, and I've watched it happen time and time again, I'm here to speak, therefore you are there to listen. No. If you do that and you think it's like that, the audience will have their arms folded and they'll be judging whether you're any good or not. If you don't do that and you say, let's just have fun together, I know my stuff, you might know more than me, but this is what I want to share with you, then people say, okay, what are we going to do, walk out? They might do if you're really bad. But most of the time people are going, yeah, fair enough, let's do it. That's a deal that we're going to make. And so it's easy to get those relationships going. So I'm going to show you now why you must speak, brand, and lead to create trust and credibility in your business. I'm going to give a big up to my brother from another mother, Ernesto Verdugo, who you can catch on, ernestoverdugo.com, and connect with him as well on social media. We did the toilet paper diaries together. Do you know about that? It's another story. I'll tell you that another time. How to start a podcast, for instance. But let's get on with this. So first of all, the question is, why is effective communication more than just speaking well? Because speaking is no longer the only way to communicate with people. Being on a stage in front of an audience is great and it's really good for positioning yourself. But any effective communication could be a one-to-one. It could be sending a memo or an email. It could be sending WhatsApps to people. It could be in a meeting where you've got to talk to lots of people or a handful of people or drive brainstorming. It could be a sales pitch. It could be the fact that you're writing a book or being on a podcast or you're being interviewed as a fireside chat. It could be that you're thinking on your own and saying, well, what do I really mean by that? And you're asking yourself better questions. All these things come under effective communication. So that's why it's not just about being able to speak quite well. Does that make sense? Good. Okay, next question is this. How can personal branding set you apart in a saturated market? Great question, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Okay, so when you've got a saturated market, that means that everybody's doing the same kind of thing as you, or they're perceived to be the same as you. Do you remember that diagram I shared with you earlier, which is this one? Okay, formula for being paid, the effect of what you do, and how cheaply you can be replaced by somebody else. Because the problem that you've got, as most people have, is they end up trying to fight the same battle. You've got to get out of where everybody else is in a crowded market and create a market for what you do really well. I say take risks, jump and grow wings on the way down. Because when people understand who you are and what it is that you do that's different from what everybody else is doing, they'll be more inclined to spend money and spend on you. That's why you have to be seen as different to everybody else. Otherwise, you can only beat them on price and availability. And that's nothing because people will work for free. Then what are you going to do? Yep, good. So next up is question number 3. What are the key leadership qualities that drive business success? Now, there are lots of different things I could put with this, but what I want to do is throw this question to you. What do you think the key leadership qualities are that drive business success? We've already said about trust, put about credibility, we've put about your values. It's status as well. People need to know that when they're working with you, we've got the very best of the best. And the best of the best does not mean that you're already perceived as the best. Whenever you see football teams, then often what happens is that smart coaches in the transfer market look at who's coming up next, not who's already there. Why? Because it's better to invest in them. You've got them for a duration of time. And also by the time they hit the big time, they've got a relationship with you, which means that you're going to be much more cost effective in the business relationship that you create. And also they're more likely to be loyal to you, where the brainstorming, coming up with great ideas, the solutions will fit in for your business first. That's why it's so important to think like that. And that's why when you are looking at that relationship with status, it doesn't mean you've got to be there already. It just means you're heading in that particular direction. Does that make sense? Yes, Dave. Thank you. Okay, how does speaking skills influence your credibility as a leader? Well, what do you think? Why do you think speaking skills influence your credibility? Because when you look at politicians, or you look at people on TV who've got high status, or even actors, or even musicians, what are they doing? They're amplifying what's going on in here in a way that's very digestible for you to turn around and say, you know what, that makes sense to me. Whether it's a singer, actor, politician, or just a speaker of some description, somebody who's an expert at what they do, but the fact that they're delivering it really effectively means that you start going, you know what, I really could get some more stuff. I wonder if we're getting interviewed anywhere else. I wonder if there's a podcast. I wonder if we've got a book out. I wonder if we've got a website I can look for. They want to see if they can get access to more of you. Now, what happens is, and Daniel Priestley has got some brilliant books that cover this, that when you are connecting with people before they buy with you, I think it's they want to see you in 4 different locations, 7 different times, and with 11 interactions. It's something like that, 4 or 7, 11. But what it is, you've got to create content that goes out everywhere and put it there. I think it's actually 7 hours of content they've got to be with. So that means that podcasts, reading books, articles, seeing your posts, lots of different things, lots of different places. When they've gone through that, they're convinced that you are an expert worth investing in. If you don't do it and you just throw it out there and hope people catch it and then get really disheartened because nobody's connected with you, that's because you haven't done the proper hard work and put your stuff out everywhere. And the big challenge with putting your stuff out everywhere when you're posting and you're waiting for feedback is you shouldn't be looking at vanity metrics. You don't go, oh, nobody cares about me, I'll stop doing it. You don't know how many people are just going, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and they're counting the amount of times that you make sense when you show up. The amount of times I talk to people who say, I've been watching you for ages, but I never wanted to get in touch with you until now, because I feel that it's a time for you to help me. You never know who's out there, so keep pushing away. All right. So that means you get credibility as a leader. Number five, can you build a strong brand without effective leadership? Here's a misconception about leadership. Leadership does not mean that you've got to be running an organization or be the head of a company or a CEO. Leadership is basically just saying, I know what I'm talking about, and here's the proof. You can be a leader on your own, and most leaders who are at the top of the food chain are exactly that. Why? Because often when you make the difficult decisions, you can't ask anybody. You've got to be out there and you make the decision on your own and you stick by it. Sure, you can talk to other people and sure, you can get their feedback, but ultimately it's down to one person. And that's why when you look at this question again, can you build a strong brand without effective leadership? It means that when you're out there doing it, you are already creating that brand. Now, do people know about it? Probably not. That's why you need to make sure that they do. That means growing your branding, your personal branding of the spooks, nope, books, speaking, podcasts, articles, um, interviews, and social media posts are great ways of doing that. Turning up at events, consulting, whatever gets you out there that makes people go, wow, what a great leader. But you don't have to be head of a big organization. You can do it on your own. If you're a life coach, you can position yourself very well as a thought leader by having really good insights and letting people know about it. Again, it's like vanity metrics. Not everybody has to know you or like you, but they need to know that you can be out there and they need to be able to respect the fact that you do exist. All right, next up then is this one. What's the role of storytelling in both speaking and branding? Great question. The role of storytelling is important because when you're speaking or when you're branding yourself, people are not going to believe you until you've got evidence that proves you are everything that you say you are. That's why it's really important to tell those stories because if people can associate with the stories what you've been through, what the client who you're talking about had been through until you came along, and then the way you fixed a problem for them, and they went off into the sunset with a wonderful time, more money, more time on their hands, with more happy staff and better results, and their accounts are going through the roof with ROI, then they will associate that story with what you will do for them. It adds credibility and it positions you really well. That's why your stories have to be relevant, but you have to make them relevant to them as well. So if you haven't got a story that's relevant to them, as in you haven't done something that reaches them, you can tell another story about something that does have relevance for them and say, I can do that too. I haven't yet, but when we talk, I'll work it out and we're able to move forward like that. So it is there, you can do it. Okay, next up is this. How can you align your speaking style with your brand identity? Your speaking style and your brand identity should be the same thing. What you need to be able to do is you need to be able to speak about your brand and not much else. Yeah, you can talk about your parties, you can talk about your friends, your family, you can talk about what you had for dinner, but ultimately your brand should have all those things to prove you're a human and you're not just one size fits all, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. But what it really means is that when you speak, you need to get the Wi-Fi code of the audience in front of you. And so every time you do speak, you are talking to make your brand look genuine, not fake, like putting on a funny accent or let's look at some of the best brands ever. Guys like Virgin and Richard Branson. He wears a jumper. He's got a hairstyle from the 80s. But does he do things that change the world? Is he a billionaire? Yes, he is. And you know that the way that his heart and his values are about doing stuff that's innovative and bucking the system and moving forward and not being intimidated are values that resonate with everybody who looks for a Virgin answer. So when there's Virgin Airlines or Virgin Cruises or Virgin Rail or Virgin Music or Virgin phones, you know, when I've got a Virgin chip in there, I know the values that he creates as a person should resonate throughout the entire company. That's why it's so important to have everything come together like that. And that's why it's your speaking style that makes people think the values are genuine and not fake. And that matters. Next up, what are the common mistakes that make you, common mistakes you can make while trying to lead? Um, it's difficult to actually own mistakes. Truth is, life is a learning curve. As you do stuff and as you grow, everything does alter, and there is a roadmap to being able to do it effectively. Here's a roadmap for being able to become an industry icon. You start off with awareness, with an aspiration, you start driving towards it, you reposition yourself, you refine your offer to the market, and then afterwards you own your space and everyone respects you as what it is that you do. It is a learning curve. Life is a learning curve. And so, do you make mistakes? Yes, you do, but you only do it once. But here's the thing, at the time of making mistakes, it wasn't a mistake because you only ever do the right thing at the right time based on your knowledge of what happens up till then. So when you make a decision right now, it is a right decision. Tomorrow you might find it was a wrong decision, but that's only on the extra information you were given tomorrow. Based on what happens right now, you only ever make the right decision. Does that make sense? No? Well, think about it a bit longer, and I guarantee after that, I know it will. All right, next one is this. Number 9, how can you continuously evolve your speaking skills, your branding skills, and also leading? You just do it, but you do it in a different way. You do it bearing in mind. Have you seen the movie The Truman Show? Have you come across that? Well, if not, Google it. The Truman Show is all about this guy who wakes up to find out he's in a reality TV show, but he doesn't know it until very, very end of it. And from a baby, he's had cameras all around, and people are watching from all around the world watching The Truman Show. Jim Carrey, amazing movie. But what you need to do is have half an eye. I don't mean fuck it out, but what I do mean is have an ear to the ground that people are paying attention to who you are and what you do. And everyone's connected through social media, so therefore you might as well own that space and put it out. So when I'm saying I'm doing stuff, I am doing stuff. When I've done something that's of interest to help grow my brand and my speaking and prove that I'm a leader, I put it out there so people can see it's evidence. I'm building trust, credibility, and certainty. And so the more I put out there, the more that people will say, you know what, might not like the guy, but you can't argue with the fact he's doing it. And so if I want to invest in somebody who I know can do it, that's why I'll go to him. Yes? Good. All right. And last question is this. What's the one action step you can take today to become better speakers, branders, and leaders? That's a question I'm going to throw at you. I might answer it in a little bit, but it's a question for you now. What's a one action step? What's a one thing you can do right now that will start moving you further to being seen as a great speaker, growing a great brand, and being seen as a leader? If you're a little bit shy with imposter syndrome, the fastest way to do it is to promote other people's material. Ask questions to me on this particular podcast. Share it with your clients. Get articles and stuff that was done by other people and post that and talk about how it affected you. You don't have to be a content creator until you feel comfortable. Start off with likes, get into shares, but if you can leave a comment, then what happens is everybody else who's excited about it will see you as somebody that they want to connect to, and they'll see if a question or a comment is relevant, that maybe you do know more than they thought, and maybe they need to be connected and possibly do some business with you. So as a number one thing, that's what I'd say about starting the whole process going. Just get involved. Okay, so if you want to take a screenshot of this, I'll leave it open. I normally would go like this, in which case I disappear completely, or I go, hello, it's me over here, but in fact I'm just going to go, that's me. There we are. So if you're trying to take a screenshot, you're going to have me going like that on it, trying to be like, what is that, a moose? A moose with glasses and a beard. Dave the Moose. All right. So once again, if you want to join in the community, and you want to be a thought leader, we've got a masterclass coming up in Dubai, but we're also going to be doing some stuff for you online. You can get your free PDF to start thinking about becoming a paid keynote speaker, and we've got an event coming up for you soon, online and offline. If you're interested in joining in person, then there we go. And if you want to watch it later on, then you both don't leave it too late; it might disappear. And also, if you want to get faster at what you do, growing your brand, get over imposter syndrome and all the rest of it, we've got a personal branding accelerator. If you really want to be a guest on podcast shows and also learn to message your clients, so people who don't even know you go, you know what, that's something brilliant, I want to be connected to you, then the personal branding accelerator program is available. I've got the details for you in the comments section of this particular broadcast, or if not, just go to speakonstage.com and you get access to everything there. Any questions you have, please, 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 please ask me. I don't bite. Here's the thing. Whenever I go to an event, I sit near the front. Why do I go sit near the front? Two reasons. First of all, I want to be visible to the person who's giving the presentation. So if I want to be able to talk to them later and say, oh yeah, I noticed you. You're the guy dressed in a clown suit who kept eating pies and no. I just want them to notice me if I ask a question. Also, I don't like being distracted by other people who are making noise. I want to be able to see what I'm doing. So I make sure that I do that. Now, why is that important? Because of this thing here, asking questions. I will ask any question, not any question, but I'll ask questions that come into my head, whoever the speaker is. When they say any questions, I'll go yes. And I don't care if people say that's a ridiculous question. Why would you ask that? Everybody else knows. Yeah, but I didn't. And I might not get access to them later. And what happens from a point of view of being a mentor or a speaker or a trainer or a presenter is when somebody asks you a question and you've got to answer it, it also reinforces in your head different ways of looking at it. It means that you become better at speaking and training and presenting on that same subject. So it goes cyclical all the way around. And I can't tell you how to spell cyclical, but I can tell you it's a really cool sounding word. Say it for yourself, kids. Cyclical. It's like a bike. A cyclic bit. Okay, so with that, that's the questions. As always, great to see you. The Industry Icon program is only for thought leaders who want to position themselves as the very best at what they do. And we work on that, and it gets you really well. If you're wondering about this, by the way, and you're listening to the podcast and you're wondering, Dave, we can't see any of this stuff. Why do you do this to us? Because this is a visual medium. Sure, you can listen to a podcast. In fact, on Spotify, you can actually watch this entire video. And all the stuff I've talked about, you can get access to, and you can build up your legacy as well. And that's what we do. And your legacy could be as much as $10 million if you put it to rights and you do it all properly. But I'm not going to spend time on this. To get more on this, you go to speakonstage.com, or you DM me directly and say, Dave, I'm really good at what I do. My company's doing really well, but I'm kind of invisible and I want to build a legacy around me. Can you help? And the answer is going to be maybe, but let's have a go at it anyway. The way that you move forward, the way that you build who you are and have the impact that you need to have is something that you can either choose to do, or you can say, you know what, I'll wait until later. And meanwhile, everybody else will get their signature projects up and running, and you'll wonder why you're not there. The only time to start is right now. Why do you think I'm spending my spare time writing books? When they come out, you're going to go, wow, when did you get time to do that, Dave? I didn't have time. I found time. I made time because it's important to help as many people as possible. And you're probably feeling the same way. So make sure you join my free WhatsApp group and discover everything. Turbocharge your career 5-day challenge. The new challenge starts soon. It's all about LinkedIn. You get the details from the accelerator program, but you can also join us for 5 days, and I'll be telling you all the details again. And that's on WhatsApp. You just get the QR code, join us there, and that's it. Thank you. It's been a pleasure having you here. I love sharing these ideas, and I hope that you get as much value out of them as I do. I'll catch you soon. I'll catch you on Friday. Make sure that you go to the get the QR code as well. And in the comment section, I'll tell you about the event I'm doing on Friday. Same time, same place, but it's audio and it's all about you. I love your questions. I love helping you to find what you really want in your life. And that's what it's all about. So look after yourself. This is Speak and Stage. And my name is Dave Crane. And I hope you stay groovy. Love you. Bye.